Chapter 161. Gathering of all parties. What am I afraid of? No. Sanchi had an excited expression, other than some pain. I have no reservations about courting death anymore. For the remaining 3 days, Sanchi focused on cultivating the 1,000 transformations technique. There were many nascent soul cultivators in this operation. He had to finish cultivating this disguise spell as soon as possible. What if someone stronger saw through his disguise? However, 3 days was still a little short. In the end, he did not break through to the Qi transformation realm. However, he had still cultivated the bone transformation realm to perfection. All elders and inner disciples, get ready to move. Lugia's voice spread from the top floor. Then, the Supreme Kraken ship shook violently and this behemoth began to take off. Sanchi stopped cultivating and pushed the door open. Is there any food on the boat? Bring some over. He gave an order to Bai Xiaocan. He had not eaten for a long time. Before courting death, he had to eat and drink his fill. He did not want to be a hungry ghost in the 3 seconds after he dies. Elder, there's food. I'll get it for you. Bai Xiaocan nodded. Take the token. Sanchi threw the identity token to Bai Xiaocan. The latter happily went to look for the Elder of Logistics. After following Sanchi for more than half a month, she could finally do something for him. Soon, Bai Xiaocan brought back a few plates of fruits and a pot of wine. No meat. Sanchi felt regretful. There's nothing suitable for Elder. Bai Xiaocan shook her head. Forget it. It'll just fill my stomach. Sanchi knew that the meat that was suitable for him needed to be at the level of a demon beast. It was normal for there to be none in this desolate mountain range. If he really wanted to eat it, he would have to rely on himself. He picked up a grape. After biting it, the juice stimulated his taste buds. It was sour and sweet. The juice contained abundant spiritual qi, and it was not an ordinary fruit. Tastes good. Sanchi nodded and ate some fruits. After finishing the wine, he realized that the Supreme Kraken ship was slowing to a stop. He walked out and saw that the Supreme Kraken ship was 1,000 meters in the sky. There were similar large-scale flying Dharma treasures floating around it. A red wooden coffin, a black palace, a 7-colored centipede, a white sword, a yellow ancient book, a golden abacus, a bronze compass, a bronze chariot were all gathered together. Every one of them was a war Dharma treasure. They were huge and were at least 100 meters tall. Their aura was all extremely oppressive and shook the void, causing the surrounding air to roll back and the miasma that filled the air to dissipate. However, on the ground, the gray miasmic air was as thick as the sea. It was not blown away, revealing its true appearance. Sanchi did not look at the ground. Instead, he observed in surprise. Many of these were Dharma treasures, or like the Supreme Kraken ship he was on. They had powerful attack ability, and every one of them was more powerful than the aircraft carriers he knew in his previous life. Perhaps the range of the firearms on the aircraft carrier would be stronger than these war Dharma treasures, but it was impossible for them to fly so high. Elder, what a spectacular sight! Bai Xiaocan was dumbfounded. She had been immortal in the past and had never left Silken City. She had never seen such a spectacular scene. It's rare indeed, Sanchi nodded. Even with the blood-robed old ghost's memories, he had never seen so many large factions activate their war Dharma treasures at the same time. In the past, when Great Jin was still strong, the various large factions did not even have the chance to split such a cave abode. Usually, it would be dominated by the officials of Great Jin and the royal family. He focused on a few war Dharma treasures. Not far away, the red wooden coffins were divided into small coffin groups. They looked rather strange. The words Heavenly Corpse were carved on the head of the coffins. They were the war Dharma treasures of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Bai Xiaocan was a little afraid. She muttered softly, "Seeing a coffin makes you rich. Seeing a coffin makes you rich. Seeing a coffin makes you rich" is part of an ancient Chinese saying, which had the intention to dispel bad luck for good fortune in the near future. People will recite this saying when encountering something unlucky. Sanchi could not help but laugh. I didn't expect you to be so superstitious. I was taught this at home. My father was very wary of these things, but it's a pity that disasters caused by blood stained on one's hands are still inevitable. Bai Xiaocan sighed. Seeing that Sanchi was very approachable, she sized up the large coffin in the distance. This sect is so strange. They actually brought a coffin with them to go out. After all, they are a bunch of zombies. The coffin is their home. What else would they bring if not a coffin? Song Shi pursed his lips and shifted his gaze to the Black Palace. In fact, this was a group of palaces belonging to the Sky Demon cult. It looked like a palace, but its aura was not as glorious and majestic as an ordinary palace. Instead, it looked rather cold and gave off a creepy feeling. The Sky Demon cult fellows are quite pretentious. They actually used a palace as their mean of transportation. Song Shi took another look. The second master Lu he killed was from Sky Demon cult. Someone would probably come to take revenge on him soon. Looking at the last top faction from the demonic cultivation path, Song Shi was surprised. The seven-colored centipede was actually a living creature. It was more than 100 meters long and resembled a long dragon. There were not many people on it. There were colorful flags with the words Heavenly Poison written on them on the centipede. What a huge centipede! It must be very painful to be stung by it. Bai Shaokan was a little afraid. Among the factions flying in the air, this was the most ferocious and terrifying Dharma War treasure. There's no need for it to even sting people. A breath of its poisonous gas will melt them already. Song Shi teased. He felt that Bai Shaokan was as curious as if he was when he had just come into contact with the cultivation world. I am so weak. I won't be sent to fight, right? Bai Shaokan pursed her lips and held the umbrella in her hand tightly. She said, uneasily, everyone is so powerful. My soul might just dissipate if I take in their aura. I won't let a small fry like suffer. Song Shi shook his head. I don't think these large-scale flying Dharma treasures can enter the cave abode. You will definitely be waiting on the ship. War Dharma treasures were huge and expensive to build. This was also to increase the power of it. Typically, they would not be able to change their size at will like ordinary Dharma treasures could. Other than living creatures like the seven-colored centipede, objects like the Supreme Kraken ship definitely could not enter the cave abode. Suddenly, the Supreme Kraken ship shook slightly and stopped completely, floating quietly in the sky. At this moment, the Black Palace, Corpse Coffin, the seven-colored centipede, and the Supreme Kraken ship that they were on were clearly on the same side, as they were all huddled close together and were competing with the other paths. Opposite them, a huge white sword that was more than 1,000 feet long radiated a sharp aura, as if it wanted to cut through the world. It came from the Great Keon's official Demon Slayers department, which was in charge of the punishments in the cultivation world. Song Shi saw two familiar faces on it. They were a female swordswoman with an ethereal aura and Chen Ming from the Demon Slayers division. He was slightly stunned. He was not surprised that Chen Yiling had already reached the Foundation Establishment realm. After all, she was a genius. He was a little surprised that Chen Ming was also at the Foundation Establishment realm. The first time he saw this person, he was only at the postnatal realm. The second time, he was at the connate realm. Now that he was at the Foundation Establishment realm, his speed was a little fast. Thinking of the other party's strangeness, Song Shi looked at the Demon Palace thoughtfully, since he had already left this department and was not interested in their affairs anymore. He began to observe the yellow ancient book beside him. This was the leader of the Orthodox Cultivation Pathway sects, Qian Jin Academy, which belonged to the official organization of Great Jin. They have influence over all the scholars in Great Jin. Both of them were official organizations. One was a scholarly in nature while the other focused on martial combat. It could be seen that Great Jin valued this both aspects. The remaining third faction was the largest and more powerful one. Song Shi focused his gaze on the bronze compass. This thing came from the rather mysterious Heaven Secret Office organization. Song Shi was deep in thought. The Heaven Secret Office was very powerful in terms of intelligence, array formation, and deduction. They specialized in selling information for a living and were a faction that could be considered to be well received among both the righteous and demonic factions. As for the Golden Abacus, it came from a large faction that specialized in business. However, this faction was formed by many business organizations, including the Myriad Treasure Store, 100 Herb Square, and other trading companies, medicine shops, and more. Song Shi's gaze landed on the bronze chariot and he muttered, "That's the Yi family. A large cultivation clan. They brought some powerful rogue cultivators with them. There are so many factions here. It's getting really lively here."